3 gay white boys, about my age, 16, 17. We all had fake IDs. We're all ready to go, and we're flirting, and we're like, they didn't live anywhere near where I came from. I didn't know these guys. But we made friends, we did our thing. We bought a little flask, we drank it, we went to the bar. Club, really, it's still there. Stood in line. They put me in front because I'm the tallest. And I went to the front. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go in. And they said, 3 picture IDs, please. Now, my dad was a lawyer, a white lawyer. So I was arguing. And as I tried to present my argument, the 3 boys went in without a sound and were gone. And I was soon on the sidewalk. And I thought, damn. When I think of the story now, I think of 2 things. 1, what would my life have been if I had gotten in? And then I got to walk and finish the story and say, and all of a sudden everyone was all just like me and everything was great. And the second thing I think about, what would my life have been? And the second thing I think about is when those 3 boys talk about their first time, am I in the narrative? Am I there? Do they remember the brown boy they met at Dunkin' Donuts and who covered for them as they went in? I figure one of them does. And it was for me and that one guy that I said yes to going into Portrait of Jason and finding the Jason within me. Because as the film says, and it is true, when you talk about cinema, when you talk about film, there's only one of all the films that have ever been made that stars a gay black man as its lead that is considered essential viewing. I say essential viewing because essential cinema is an actual thing, it's an actual list, and I don't want to I'm not talking about that list necessarily. I'm talking about the canon, lots of different canons in the world, but there's only one. And it's Shirley Clarke's Portrait of Jason that has a black gay man as its lead. And what it is, well, it is watching a man lose. So in 1990-something, when I first saw the film, and I saw this man lose, and I was a cinema guy, because after I left that gay bar at 17 and walked around and went back home, I didn't go back. I went to Sci-Fi World, I went to the comic book store, I went to Doctor Who stuff, I organized my life around other things, to this day. Which is actually why it's great to be at Outfest, and I'm really glad that you programmed me, because I don't organize myself around things like that. Because they'll ask you for 3 pictures of IDs, and I don't give a fuck about that. What I do give a fuck about was cinema, because we're storytelling. So it was a real shock in the heart to see that this was the one, that Portrait of Jason was the one that I had to draw from. And that was when I first saw it. I was a kid. I was like 20, 21. I was in school. So when you're in school and you're learning, and you're not being taught this, but you know that this is the only thing there is, it's the Star Wars of black gay men in cinema, times Pasolini's Sallow. And I use that advisedly, because it's a horror picture. Just like Sallow, just like Star Wars. You get medals in the end, but you don't. Jason doesn't get a medal. He's always, the whole film is like about watching him audition for the part of himself and then not getting the part. And when this project came up, the only thing I knew that I had to do was first, A, find the Jason within me, so I could show the Jason within everybody. Because what is it about this thing that happened on that day in the Chelsea Hotel? This woman filmed this man. Why is it important? Because it's everything. It's about power. It's about 2 titans. Not one person above, one person below, but 2 titans who are both very different, but both very much the same, trying to work it out. And so what I and these titans did, this one is Beverly, was got in that room, again, to work it out, to tell the truth about what happened. Because what happened is that Jason won. We wouldn't know from Queens if it wasn't for him. He's the first snap queen on record. He's the first person to talk about the intersection of the jazz world, the Chelsea hotel world, and the gay world. The first and the only. And what happened in the 90s is this, I'm going off another tangent, but I think I'll bring it back to the point of where this came from. What happened in the 90s is that all the gay people started putting together their lists, sort of trying to like get over the 80s. And all the black people try to put together their lists because they're like, we've got to start making our own films. And neither of them put Portrait Jason on the list. They put All About Eve on the list, they put Xanadu on the list over here, they put Color Purple on the list, and they went back to Birth of a Nation over there. They ignored Portrait of Jason. Why? Because they didn't want to go there. It wasn't about homophobia in the black community or racism in the gay community. It was about that this movie's too fucking real. And in order to look into it, or to go into it, you have to go too deeply into yourself. Betty Davis did not prepare you for this. And nor did Sidney Poitier, both of them were around when Jason Holiday and Shirley Clarke were around. So it's time to bring that back. It's trying to go back into the Chelsea Hotel, 1966, and admit they were black people there. Because the only question that I leave when I finish Portrait of Jason is, why wasn't Jason Holiday in the factory? When you picture the factory, the people there. And now picture Jason third from the left, right? Once you get it in your head, you can't get it out. So why isn't he not there? Uhuru is there. And then 10 years later, Garrett Morris is there. But because Jason wasn't there, or somebody like him, Basquiat had to die. Because he's the first one. He doesn't have to be the first one. He actually wasn't the first one. Jason was the first one. And this film puts him back in there. And our goal was to put him back in there. And I'm glad we succeeded. I'm glad you guys laughed, because it's supposed to be fucking funny. And I'm glad you guys gasped, because it's... And I'm glad you guys and gals got that little tickle that comes from watching VHS. Something illicit might be going on, something might be getting taped over, there's unstabiliness in the room, what's gonna happen? You know, I'm glad you guys, you know, films, I don't want to make film for passive spectators, I want active spectating. Just like Blair Witch. Just like Orson Welles' The Trial. What was your question?